without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker, and I'm so delighted to welcome you, Minakshi. Minakshi Bastapure is from India. She's a 22-year-old data engineer interested in creating awareness about liberal patriarchy, and the title of Minakshi's talk is India's Thriving Youth-Led Activism, Blindsided by Gender Ideology. So welcome, Minakshi, and over to you.
I'll be talking about India's thriving youth-led activism being blindsided by gender ideology. So India has had a glorious history of youth-led activism. It has led to many social reforms, including India's independence itself. Since past few years, students in several major universities and cities have been protesting about issues such as hikes in fees, reduction of seats, cutback in stipends, sexual harassment, sexism, casteism, and other forms of oppressive systems at universities. According to the data of National Crime Record Bureau, students' protest cases nearly doubled between 2014 and 2018. 2014 was also the year when the right-wing party BJP came into power. So I will go over some of the important and significant youth-led protest in the recent history. So one of them is Pinjra, meaning break the cage movement that started in 2015. It grew out of a simple Facebook page after a university called Jamia Millia Islamia issued a notice imposing 8 p.m. curfew for female students in 2015. So the young women around the country, they started sharing their stories about the attitudes of the landlords and the guards, wardens and principals on a Facebook page. Pinjra challenged the curfews for women, moral policing, victim shaming, body shaming, higher prices for women's hostels, lack of accommodation, and also public access, among others. They also focused on ensuring that universities establish a sexual harassment committee. Their methods include a change.org petition, spray painting messages of resistance on the campus. Another protest happened in 2016 after the death of Rohit Vemula, who was a Dalit scholar. Dalits are a marginalized community in India. So he was doing PhD at the University of Hyderabad, and the university accused him of allegedly assaulting an ABVP leader in campus. So ABVP is the student wing of the ruling right-wing party. So he was accused of assaulting an ABVP leader, after which he was suspended from the university, and his access within the campus was also limited by the college authority. After that, he hanged himself, and over this huge protest happened in the southern parts of India as well as in the Delhi, which is the national capital of India. Thousands of students came on the streets and fought against this. Another protest happened over the execution of Afzal Guru in 2016. It started at Jawaharlal Nehru University in Delhi. Afzal Guru was convicted of carrying out an attack in Parliament in 2001. So during the protest, the president of the student union, Kanhaiya Kumar, was slapped with sedition charges and he was arrested. So thousands of students, protested against this, and several of them were suspended, and many were slapped with hefty fines. Another one also from JNU in 2019. So JNU, the Jawaharlal Nehru University, the students from the university staged huge demonstrations over steep hike in fees. Nearly 600 police personnel were deployed to keep the situation under control. Terming the situation an academic emergency, students of the university demanded removal of their vice chancellor. Followed by the same, a partial rollback was announced by the authorities of the university. Protests against CAA in 2019. CAA stands for Citizenship Amendment Act. It was an act that was passed in the parliament in December 2019. It was a controversial citizenship law that is discriminatory towards Muslims. So students from the Assam Students Union, Jamia Millia Islamia, Aligarh Muslim University, and many others staged huge protests over the legislation. Nationwide protests were happening, and situation turned violent after the police opened fire inside the Jamia and Aligarh Muslim University campuses. Section 144, which is about prohibiting public gathering, was imposed in several parts of the country, and internet was shut down. As you can see, the youth of the country is coming on streets fighting against the dictatorship of the right-wing party, the bigotry, the anti-Muslim bigotry, may be classism, may be sexism, many other things. But on the other hand, according to LGBT India resource, more than 75 premier public and private institutions in India now have queer collectives. So these queer collectives at campuses, they create awareness about homosexuality, although they seldom use homosexuality anymore. They mostly use the term queer. They are also heavily focused on gender neutral spaces and gender affirming treatments, even for minors. Some also promote prostitution. So the country's first and foremost one is called Sathi. It is the IIT Bombay's queer collective. IIT Bombay stands for Indian Institute of Technology. It is the most prestigious engineering institute in the country. Its queer collective was founded in 2011 by a faculty member and 2 students. It got official recognition in 2020, and it delivers presentations on gender sensitivity during orientation for freshers. This is worrisome since it being the most prestigious engineering institute in the country, and the aspiring engineers and the parents, they work hard to get their children into this institute, and once they are in, they get admitted into the college. They are they are told that sex is not a binary and it is a spectrum and all that, and these young people, these freshers, they'll believe it because they want to fit in, they want to belong, they don't want to get into trouble, and they don't want to cause any trouble. Another important queer collective is at Ashoka University. It is a private liberal arts university. So in December 2018, Ashoka University removed the men's and women's signs from the washrooms at the university and replaced them with gender neutral. So the queer collective there is a trans solidarity fund at Ashoka University started by the Feminist Collective and the Queer Collective, and they raise funds for what they call is gender reaffirming surgery. NALSAR University of Law, which is a premier law university in the country, they recently designated one floor on its campus as a gender neutral space with rooms allotted to students who identify themselves as members of the LGBTQ+ community. In 2015, the university also issued a gender neutral graduation certificate to a student who did not wish to be identified with Mr. or Miss, but with something that I cannot pronounce. The queer collective of the NALSAR is also interested in bashing on J.K. Rowling. They organized a study circle session on J.K. Rowling's essay Anti-Activism. Tata Institute of Social Sciences, it is a renowned social sciences institution in the country. Its queer collective was established in 2015. In April 2018, the institute has designated the ground floor of an existing girls' hostel to accommodate gender non-conforming students admitted to the institute. And the queer collective is not only it is demanding these gender neutral spaces and everything, and promoting harmful cosmetic surgeries. They are also against the anti-trafficking bill. They are also promoting prostitution. So to sum it up, the following institutions have gender neutral hostels and or toilets so far. Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Public Law School, NALSAR, Tezpur University in Assam, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, Ashoka University, Ambedkar University, and the University of Hyderabad. And these are like premier institutes in the country, and they are now captured by the gender ideology. And most of these changes came after the lobbying and the demands from the queer collectives of the campus. Now everything is about the tea. Whatever youth activism happens in the country, it is mostly about the tea. So recently in April this year, uh, this there is this Indraprastha College for Women, which is affiliated to Delhi University, and the students were celebrating their annual college festival, and thousands of men gather around the college campus, as you can see the left side. So these men gather around the campus, and many of them trespassed into the college, catcalled, harassed the female students there, and also spat on the volunteers who were trying to keep them out of the campus. The authorities of the college failed in taking preventive measures from preventing something like this from, and also they handled the situation very poorly. They ushered the female students into their dorms and locked the doors. And similar incidents have happened at Delhi University's other women-only colleges like Miranda House and Gagi College. So students protested, of course, after this. But as you can see in the right side, one poster says, "Speak up against sexual harassment of women." And the other poster says, "An administration that does not ensure a safe campus for women, queer, trans people does not deserve to stay." So the students, the youth of the country now is not realizing that these thousands of men that are gathered around the campus who are being called perverts and trespassers at this moment, just they just have to declare that they self-identify as women and wear a lipstick and add a wig and step into the college through the gate instead of trespassing through the walls. They're making it very easy for these perverts to enter women's spaces. I have since I was a child, I've been listening to the adults, ranting about how useless and pathetic the young generations are. But the young generations, they want to change the world. They want to do something better, make this world a better place, and they're on the streets fighting for it against the dictatorship of the government. And despite knowing the consequences for it, there is a lot at stake for the future generations already. Like there's unemployment, there is climate crisis, there is food deprivation, casteism, racism, and capitalism and misogyny, everything raising its tentacles to pick up and consume us whole. So it is not only shameful of the liberal society to sway them away towards a non-issue, that it is forcing them to stare at their own destruction by promoting this ideology. Makes me wonder what the end game is going to look like. And we should resist this cancer at all cost and protect the future generations from this. Thank you.
How many people are feeling that the trans bit, the all about the tea bit, is bad, or do you think everybody's going along with it because of a wave of other things?
Most of the people on internet are going along with this, but if you talk to people in person, most of them laugh at this, like this is some Western bullshit that is coming to India, and they laugh at this. They're not going along with this if you talk to people in person. But on the internet, especially the youth and the liberal communities, they are going along with this.
Yeah. And how about the youth organizations like student unions, are they absolutely going with it?
Yes, most of them, yes. I have not heard of any liberal or left-wing youth wing or students wing that is opposing this. The ones who are opposing this, the ones who are opposing this, they're mostly right-wing unions.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it from the feminist perspective. They have their own agenda, They want to keep
Yeah.
their stereotypes.
Yeah, yeah, in a fixed way, I guess. I went to Bologna in Italy, which is called Red Bologna for its coloured brick, but mostly because it's very left wing, and there was no sign. It's very sort of lesbian and gay. It's always been a lesbian and gay area. Just walk down the streets. The only sign of trans stuff was the union, the Confederation of Free Trade Unions, had flags everywhere, just absolutely everywhere. The queer flags, the trans flags. Now, how are unions doing in India? Are they really promoting the trans activism?
Yes, most of it is, behind the doors. They're not, like banners and everything. It's mostly happening on Instagram and Twitter and behind the doors, lobbying the politicians and the important people and the celebrities and stuff like that. They're not yet in the public.
How about you, Minakshi? It's so lovely to see you, your analysis. How did you come to understand the world this way from, probably wherever you were? How did you arrive at this position?
I could not keep my head in the sand anymore, I guess. I was a liberal feminist before, and I even supported the trans ideology. And I'm a porn addict, and I even supported pornography and everything. But in the pandemic, I had I had plenty of time to go over all these things and, think clearly. So I started reading books, and then I decided that I cannot keep my head in the mud anymore.
Yeah. And how did you find out? Because you said that you were in touch with this Australian woman who liked one of your posts. Can you tell that some of the women here, because then we can do it again, we can try to engage with young people. How did her intervention help you?
I don't remember clearly, but it was an old lady from Australia, I guess, and her whole account was about radfem post. Every post on her account was about radical feminism and how liberal feminism is just an extension of patriarchy and everything. And in the beginning, like, she was an angry woman. I did not like it. I wanted a nice woman, I guess. So I was like, why is this woman so angry? But whatever she was saying, it made sense. And I started asking her questions about different things about feminist pornography. She was like, pornography is prostitution on tape. And I was like, what about feminist pornography? It can be good and empowering. And I started asking her questions, and she answered them. She answered them, and I like it when somebody answers my questions instead of ignoring them and telling me that it is a stupid question. So, and after that, I went to the internet and started, Wikipedia and everything. But most of the internet hates radical feminism. So then I bought Intercourse by Andrea Dworkin. And it made sense. It was agonizing, very agonizing and depressing, but it made sense. And that's how I got into it. I started buying and reading more books, radical feminist books, and found this radical feminist community on Twitter and Instagram. And then I found about WDI and Feminist Current. Yeah, and that's how I got into it.
That's so fantastic.
And I'm not going back to liberal feminism now.
No, there's no way back, really, is there? Yeah.
I'm only moving forward from now.